You own your own home, but you're planning on moving for whatever reason. Maybe you need a bigger home or a smaller home or relocating for, I don't know, maybe relocating for work. But the question is, should you sell your house or should you maybe hang on to it and rent it out? Let's dive into that. Hey, Jose here, your SoCal Realtor. If you're even thinking about buying or selling a home, do not hesitate to reach out. My team and I, we are here and ready to help you with your real estate needs. Okay, quick disclaimer. Yes, I did just say I'm a real estate agent, and I'm sure you're saying, Jose, of course you're gonna tell me I should sell it. And the answer to that is not necessarily, because it kind of depends. Because whether you do choose to sell the house or rent it out, sorry, I know, but one more thing, I do want to encourage you to stay into the end of the video because I do have a free gift that I would like to leave with you. I do have to ask you this. Are you thinking about hanging on to it in order to turn it into a rental? Because you're thinking, well, I'm going to add that as one more rental to my portfolio of rental properties that I already own. Because, I mean, if that's what you're planning to do, then it might just make sense for you to do that. However, for a house that was never originally purchased for that reason, do the numbers add up? Because if your house is it's a really nice area, or maybe it's a really nice neighborhood, I've seen many cases where the going rent for that area or that neighborhood, it's not quite enough. It doesn't allow you to bring in enough rent payment to be able to still make a profit after you've made the mortgage payment for your house, or worse, it's not even enough rent payment to pay for the mortgage payment for your house. Do me a favor though, because if you do own rentals and you're thinking, Jose, what are you talking? You don't even know what you're talking about. In all honesty, while I have worked with a number of investors that do have rentals, I don't personally own any rentals. But if you do own rentals, do me a favor, let us know about it in the comments below. But when you add up what's the mortgage payment for your house, the ongoing maintenance or upkeep for your house, if you're not living in the area, you might want to consider adding in a property management cost too. Of course, yes, there are potential tax write-offs with some of these expenses. My recommendation for you is talk to a tax professional for more on that. But when you add all that up and you subtract out whatever the going rent is in the area for a house like yours, but when you do that, do you come up with a profit or do you come up with a loss? I mean, that right there is a pretty quick way to answer the question. Does it make sense to sell it or should you hang on to it as a rental?
Okay, I think I got it.
Here's another thing to consider. When you do sell your house, as long as you've lived there for 2 out of the past 5 years, you're able to write off a large chunk of any profit you get from the sale of your house. Meaning if you're single, you're able to write off up to $250,000 in profit from the sale of your house. And if you're married, then in that case, you're able to write off up to $500,000 in profit from the sale of your house. Of course, though, be sure to check with your tax professional on that one too. But if you've lived there for a while and there's some profit, yeah, if you convert your house over to a rental, you're giving up that tax write-off. Okay, yes, B, before you beat me up in the comments below, there is a legal tax loophole when it comes to rentals. Yeah, you have the 1031 exchange, which basically it says this: when you sell a rental or an investment property, but when you sell that property, any profits that you make, you're able to defer that tax bill as long as you take the proceeds that you make from the sale and turn around and invest it in another investment property, that as long as it's similar like type property or higher cost property. And I'm sure you probably already know what I'm about to say about that tax situation.
You are so predictable.
Be sure to speak with a tax professional about that. But there definitely is a difference between deferred and waived. Yeah, deferred just simply means the bill's still due, it's just not due until later. Or waived is, well, it's waived. Here's another question that you really should consider, and that is, are you going to be moving locally or even somewhat locally? Because being a landlord definitely comes with some work involved, and don't get me wrong, I mean, it can be profitable to have a rental. In fact, actually, in some cases, very profitable to have a rental, but there is work and responsibilities that come with a rental. So I guess my question for you is, do you want to be a landlord? There's more involved to being a landlord than just simply cashing that check every month. There's screening the applications to find the ideal tenant, making sure you have a sound and legal rental agreement with your tenant, making sure that you're properly insured for anything that could potentially come up or happen at your rental property. And well, what about maintenance? We talked about that earlier. Depending on the rental agreement that you have with your tenant, You may not hear from them for everything, but what if the AC goes out in July? I think you should expect to get a phone call from them about that one, which means you better be budgeting for any maintenance that you can't go and do yourself, as well as budgeting for vacancy, because if you have a tenant move out and it takes you a month to find another good quality tenant to move in, that's a whole month of maintenance or mortgage payment or insurance payment or anything else that you better be budgeted for and prepared to take care of yourself. Again, don't get me wrong. I'm definitely not saying that it's bad, that Jose's thing, man, owning a rental is not at all, not at all. I just want to make sure that you understand everything that's involved with owning a rental before you go and get into it. In fact, well, here's another one. What if you're moving because you're relocating? Whether that's for work or you just want to be closer to family, or maybe you just want a complete change of scenery. But if you are moving a bit of a distance away from your house, your rental, my question is, how easy is it going to be to maintain your rental?
Hey, what's going on over there?
Of course, though, if you are prepared to hire a property manager to manage that rental, and you know that you can believe and trust that that property manager is going to do a good job, then you may not have to worry about that long distance. Sorry, one more request. If you do own any rentals that are long distance, whether good or bad, can you do me a favor? Tell us about your experiences down below. But if the numbers add up, and quick side note on that, actually there's a number of online calculators that you can use where you can plug in the numbers and be able to get all that calculator. Or actually, I've even seen apps in the App Store that you can download for that. But if the numbers add up, and you're good, you're totally comfortable with the responsibilities that come with being a landlord, regardless of whether it's local or long distance, but you're totally good and comfortable with that. You're okay with the change in the way your house is going to be treated from a tax standpoint. Then sure, I guess it might make sense for you to go ahead and do that, to hang on to your house and convert it into a rental. Of course, if you need the funds from your house to be able to make that move, to be able to buy your next house, then obviously that sounds like that does change things, because having a rental is probably not going to do you a whole lot of good if you don't have the money to be able to make the move and to get a different house. But based on my experience over the years and working with investors that have a number of rentals and working with homeowners that don't, it oftentimes just doesn't typically work out very well when you do that, when you convert your personal home into a rental. Not saying it never does. It's just that in my experience, it doesn't seem to have a very good track record of working out well. Hey, I'm glad you're still here, because as I mentioned back at the beginning, I do have a free gift for you, and that's my free home seller's guide. If you do decide, hey, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and sell the house, this guide is designed to be your blueprint, to be able to help you find step one, getting started, getting your house prepared to sell, and having a successful and profitable journey on getting your home sold. Go ahead and click on the link down below to be able to download your free guide. Of course, if you do have any questions, or if you are thinking about buying or selling a home here or just anywhere near the Inland Empire, my contact information is below. Feel free to reach out. Otherwise, until then, we'll catch you on the next one.